Oh hey, the sun is finally out and I'm working in the garden today and it feels good. And what's that? Oh right, the mustache. Listen guys, it's Mustache May. It's something I've been doing with my best buddies for a while now. I know it's ridiculous, so I'm gonna give you guys 5 seconds to say whatever mean things you want. Ready? Go. Mustache May. Okay, so now that you guys got that out of your system, today I'm gonna amend my soil using peat moss. Last year the garden was wet all the time. It doesn't matter how sunny or warm it was, it never dried out. If you look, it's still really wet. It's actually not that bad right there, but it was all clumpy and just stuck together like that. Not very good for the roots. So I'm gonna stir in a little bit of peat moss to add some air and just help with the drainage for this year's garden. Check this out. I got some chives growing from last year. Funny story about chives. When I was a kid, they used to be growing right outside in the fields. And I would go out and I'd just chew on them. I love the taste. I didn't even know that they were chives back then. And I used to do this all the time until one day I saw a dog pee on it. So I washed my chives from then on out. Wash your chives. Now I have in my wheelbarrow about 4 cubic feet of peat moss, less than $10 for this whole garden. What I'm gonna do is throw about 2 inches on the top of the soil that I have here and then work it in with my hands. If I need a little bit more in a more moist area, then I will put it there. Anytime I have to do some garden work, I bring out a board that I can kneel on. It helps keep my dirt mounds in place and nice and firm on the side so that rain doesn't erode it into the walkway that I have here. Now, if you're afraid to get your hands dirty, you can tease it a little bit with any kind of tool, a hoe, little shovel, or you can just dive right in. I go about 4 inches down and just kind of flip it. And I do that the whole way. A garden this small takes me less than a half hour to do this whole thing. Got the peat moss all mixed in. It's nice and airy and ready for plants. Now the only thing I'm gonna do is spread a little straw down where my walkways are to help keep the weeds down. And also, if it's wet out here, you don't want to track mud back in the house after you pick all your vegetables. I have a big bale. It'll last me the entire year. I'll use a little bit of it right now, a little bit in like a month. Now I only used a little straw for this garden. If you have a lot of straw left over, don't leave it outside. Store it in a cool, dry place away from any kind of moisture because it'll collect fungus, it'll fall apart on you, and it'll be really gross. I got a little shed out back. I'm gonna leave it there. This is also great when you're trying to start some compost, which we'll cover in a later video. The garden is ready for its plants. However, there's still a few more nights of frost danger, and I don't want to spend all night covering up my vegetable plants. So I'm gonna wait until next week when it warms up a little bit. Very short growing season here in upstate New York. But if it's warmer where you are, feel free to start planting now at this stage. We'll see you next week when I start getting some plants in here. I wanted to show you guys the seeds that we started in our very first gardening video. They're coming along really well. However, if you look at the squash plants, they flopped over and they're stretchy. Now that's because as soon as they started to shoot up, I had to get them in direct sunlight, and I put them in an area where they couldn't get the full sun that they needed, so they stretched a little bit. Now, if you get stuck with something like that and you get it in the ground, you might need to stake it for a while until it gets a little bit more roots and gets a little more oomph to it, but it should be fine.